Nick seemed to be feeling the pressure of potentially having his plan exposed. He was desperate to salvage the situation and maintain control over James. However, it's unclear whether he'll be able to convince James to proceed with his own agenda. It's apparent that James is cautious and analytical, preferring to gather all the necessary facts before making any decisive moves. This approach reflects his experience in the business world and his understanding of the potential risks involved. James's final question about the guest list for the company's anniversary celebration suggests that he's shifting the focus of the conversation away from the questionable information provided. Yes, boss. I have already finalized the guest list. I will send it in the fare report. Nick didn't understand why James was suddenly asking about the guest list. The celebration was in 2 weeks, and there was still a lot of time to prepare. James's demeanor turned serious. I want you to invite Frank Miller. I want to get closer to him. He is a politician and also a businessman. I think I know what to do. Rather than acting impulsively on potentially false information, James decides to shift his focus toward a more strategic approach. By inviting Frank Miller to the company's anniversary celebration, James aims to establish a closer relationship with him. Given Frank's status as both a politician and a businessman, James sees an opportunity to not only gather more information, but also potentially secure investment for his business. James's decision to focus on building a relationship with Frank reflects his calculated approach to achieving his goals. Instead of rushing into action based on incomplete or misleading information, he opts for a more deliberate strategy that aligns with his long-term objectives. James was contemplating getting Frank to invest in his business so that he could get closer to him, gather all the information he wanted, and regain control of his company after ousting his in-laws. That way, he would kill 2 birds with 1 stone. He looked at Nick again. Who did you hire to entertain the guests? I've hired the entertainment from the reputable agency you recommended, sir, Nick replied, trying to keep up with James's swift change in direction. They'll be providing a mix of live music and interactive performances to keep the guests engaged throughout the evening. I want you to include Maggie's name on your list. She hates me for breaking her friend's heart. I disappointed them, and now I want to take the first step. I know if I can convince Maggie, she will help me with Orga. Nick nodded, understanding the shift in focus. Understood, sir. I'll make sure to include both Frank and Maggie on the guest list, and ensure they have a memorable experience at the celebration. James nodded thoughtfully. Good. Let me repeat this, Nick. Make sure everything is in order for Frank's attendance. We want to ensure he has a memorable experience at our celebration. This change in approach showcases James's adaptability and ability to seize opportunities, reflecting his determination to achieve his goals despite the unexpected twists in the situation. As you command, sir. And with that, Nick left James's office, his mind racing with thoughts. He had thought that James would buy the information he gave him, but now it looks like James is determined to handle it himself. Nick knew he had to talk to Frank about this, so he would know what to say and what to do. Orga took a moment to gather her thoughts, knowing that what she was about to reveal would likely shock Grandma. But she also knew that she couldn't keep hiding the truth any longer. Maggie gave her a reassuring nod, gesturing for her to continue. Grandma, I came here to tell you everything, and I am so sorry to have lied to you all these years. Orga started, her voice steady despite the nervous flutter in her stomach. Truthfully, I didn't leave the country for work. I was hiding from someone. Kaya's father. His name is James Hawkins. As Orga revealed the truth about her past and Kaya's father, Grandma's expression shifted from surprise to concern. She listened intently as Orga recounted the events that had led her to go into hiding, the betrayal she had faced, and the dangers they had narrowly escaped. Grandma, do you remember when we called you after you got the job? Kaya's father was my boss. I worked at his company. I started as an intern. After we started dating, I became a full-time employee. Grandma, I used to remember what you told me. not to give my body to any man before marriage. But there was something that pulled him to me. I believed him, trusted him, and finally it happened. Grandma remained silent as Orga spoke, her eyes filled with sadness and empathy. She could sense the pain and fear in her granddaughter's voice, and her heart ached for all that Orga had endured. Grandma, this man we are talking about is considered to be the richest man in the city, and his family is so rich. I thought he loved me so much. I was excited that I was going to start a family with him, but he was in a tight situation at that time. His business was not doing well. At first, I didn't want to burden him with the pregnancy, but then I decided that it would be better if I told him. The day I went to tell him the news was the same day I found out that he had a fiancée. Grandma, I found out that he had been engaged for a year. He was engaged to the heiress of another big company in the city. I couldn't bring myself to tell him the news about the baby. Until now, I didn't want him to find out about Kaya. There's a friend of mine. He's the one who helped me hide. His name is Frank Miller. I am a minister of Brooklyn and a businessman. I asked him to pretend to be Kaya's father, and he loved it. I don't want to create problems with James's wife or any other person. The reason I didn't tell you earlier, Grandma, is because I was afraid. Afraid of what James or his wife might do if they found out about Kaya. They were afraid of putting you in danger. I thought it was the best way to keep you safe by keeping you in the dark. But I realize now that it was a mistake. You deserve to know the truth, and I'm sorry for keeping it from you. Maggie, who had been watching the whole situation, intervened. She wanted to make sure that their grandmother understood that they were never meant to hide anything. Orga's right, Grandma, Maggie said, her voice filled with sincerity. We never meant to keep anything from you out of malice. We were just trying to protect ourselves and Kaya. We didn't want to put you in harm's way. Grandma listened intently, her expression softening as she took in the weight of Orga's words. She reached out and gently squeezed Orga's hand, offering her silent support. Her eyes brimmed with tears as she listened to Orga's confession. She reached out and took Orga's hand in her own, giving it a gentle squeeze. Oh, Orga, my dear, you don't have to apologize. You did what you thought was best to protect your family. And I understand that now, and I forgive you. The old woman wiping tears continued. I can't imagine what you've been through, Orga, Grandma said softly, her voice filled with compassion. But I am proud of you for doing whatever it took to keep Kaya safe. And I am so sorry that I wasn't there for you when you needed me the most. Orga's shoulders sagged with relief at Grandma's understanding. She had feared that Grandma would be angry or disappointed in her, but instead, she found nothing but love and support. But why did you come out of hiding now, Orga? Grandma asked, her brow furrowed with concern. Is it safe for you and Kaya to be here? Orga took a deep breath, steeling herself for what she was about to ask. James Hawkins is still a threat to us, Grandma. That's why we have involved Frank in this. I don't want anything to connect me to James again. Grandma's expression turned serious as she processed Orga's words. I see, she said, her voice grave. So you're saying that you're still in danger from this man? Orga nodded solemnly. Yes, Grandma. I thought I could keep Kaya safe by staying hidden. But then I felt like I wanted my life back. To work and to be successful. I can't live in fear forever. I need to build a life for myself and for Kaya and you too. Kaya needed to know you and her Auntie Maggie, live with you, and experience love that we never had a chance to experience. Grandma's gaze softened with understanding as she listened to Orga's explanation. She knew that Orga's decision to come out of hiding wasn't made lightly, and was driven by her desire to give Kaya a better life. Orga, my dear, I understand, she said gently, squeezing Orga's hand reassuringly. And you're right. You shouldn't have to live in fear forever. We'll do whatever it takes to keep you and Kaya safe, no matter what. But is there anything I can help you with? I am just an old woman. An ideal came to her mind. I'm going to confront James and make him leave us alone for good. Olga shook her head, her eyes determined. You're not just an old woman, Grandma. You're my strength, my rock. I don't want you to be in danger. I want you to be safe. And just in case James comes to you, know who he is and what to tell him. Grandma nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. I'll do whatever it takes to keep you and Kaya safe, Olga. And if confronting James is what it takes, then so be it. But remember, we're in this together. You're not alone in this. Just tell me if he ever hurts you again. He will see the face I have never shown anyone. Thank you, Grandma, Olga said, her voice filled with emotion. Thank you for being here for us and for supporting us through all of this. I don't know what I would do without you. With that, the three of them embraced each other, holding on to each other tightly as they faced the uncertain future together. But one thing was certain. They would do whatever it takes to protect each other and ensure a better life for Kaya. The old woman stood up and sighed. My dears, we were lost in the conversation and I forgot to give you something to eat. Olga smiled gratefully at Grandma's offer. That would be wonderful, Grandma. We're all quite hungry after everything that's happened. Grandma nodded and headed to the kitchen, while Olga and Maggie exchanged a relieved glance. Despite the challenges ahead, they knew that with Grandma's support, they could face whatever came their way. When Grandma was done in the kitchen, she called the girls to join the table. Come, my dears. Let's have dinner. It's late. Maggie, go and check if my dearest great-granddaughter is still awake. I want to feed her myself. Maggie nodded and quickly went to check on Kaya, finding her sitting on her bed, flipping through a picture book. Hey there, Kaya, Maggie said with a warm smile. Grandma wants to feed you herself. Are you hungry? Kaya's eyes lit up with excitement. Yes, Auntie Maggie. I can't wait to eat with Grandma, she exclaimed, setting aside the book and jumping off the bed. Maggie chuckled at Kaya's enthusiasm and took her hand, leading her back to the dining room, where Olga and Grandma were already seated at the table. As they settled into their seats, Grandma began serving the food she had prepared earlier. The aroma of a home-cooked meal filled the air, and Kaya's stomach grumbled in anticipation. They missed Grandma's cooking. She cooked the best food they could ever dream of. Olga watched with a fond smile as Kaya eagerly devoured her food, feeling grateful for this moment of peace and togetherness. As they ate, they talked and laughed, sharing stories and making plans for the future. For the first time in a long while, Olga felt a glimmer of hope, knowing that they had each other's backs no matter what. As they finished their meal, Grandma leaned back in her chair, a contented smile on her face. Well, my dears, I may not have all the answers, but I do know one thing for sure. As long as we stick together, we can overcome anything. While I am still alive, you will always be my first priority. Olga and Maggie nodded in agreement, their hearts filled with gratitude for the love and support of their family. And as they sat together in the warmth of Grandma's home, surrounded by love and laughter, they knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it together as a family. It was evening, and Kaya was already sleeping with her great-grandmother. Maggie was busy with her tasks, so Olga decided to look at the pictures. Olga's phone rang, and she glanced at the caller ID, recognizing Frank's number. With a curious frown, she answered the call. Hello, Frank? Is everything okay? Olga asked, her concern evident in her voice. Olga, do I need a serious reason to call you? You're my girlfriend after all. Even though it's all pretending, we need to make it look like it's real. Frank's voice was serious. Olga couldn't help but chuckle softly at Frank's remark, though there was still a hint of tension in her voice. Of course not, Frank. Sorry, I'm just a bit on edge after everything that's happened today. Are you okay? Frank's tone softened as he sensed Olga's unease. Hey, I understand. It's been a rough day for all of us. I just wanted to check in and see how you're holding up, and to remind you that I've got your back no matter what. Orga felt a rush of gratitude towards Frank. Despite their arrangement being purely for show, he had proven himself to be a loyal friend and ally. Thank you, Frank. I really appreciate that. And don't worry, I'm hanging in there. We'll get through this. That's the spirit, Frank replied, his voice filled with reassurance. And remember, if you ever need anything, just give me a call. I'll always be here for you. Orga smiled, feeling a sense of comfort in Frank's words. Thanks, Frank. I'll keep that in mind. Take care, okay? You too. Orga, what plans do you have for tomorrow? Frank said it teasingly. Orga laughed softly at Frank's teasing tone. Well, tomorrow is going to be a busy day. I have some errands to run in the morning, and then in the afternoon, we promised Kaya that we'd take her to the park. She's been asking to feed the ducks for weeks now. I have chosen to show her our village where we grew up, and share with her our past memories. Frank chuckled on the other end of the line. Sounds like a fun day ahead. May I join? Orga didn't think Frank would come to the village for her. He was a busy man, so she agreed. Sure, why not? But you guys were born with spoons in your mouth. You might not like it here, Orga said with a peal of laughter teasing him. And who knows? Maybe we'll stumble upon a little adventure along the way. What Orga never realizes is that Frank is indeed in love with her. He would come to her whenever given a chance. Though she accepted jokingly, Frank was serious when he asked, and she was going to be surprised. He would surely join them. As Orga set her phone down, she couldn't help but feel grateful for Frank's friendship and support. In the morning, Orga, Maggie, and Kaya had plans to explore the village that they grew up in. Orga wanted to take Kaya back in time to places that she and Maggie used to enjoy, and to places where they used to wish to visit but couldn't because of the financial state they were in. As they strolled through the familiar streets of their childhood village, Orga couldn't help but feel a wave of remembrance wash over her. She pointed out landmarks to Kaya, recounting fond memories of playing in the park, or visiting the local ice cream shop with Grandma and Maggie. Orga's voice trembled slightly as she reminisced about their past struggles, but she quickly composed herself, not wanting to dwell on the hardships they had faced. Instead, she focused on the joy of sharing these memories with Kaya and the hope for a brighter future ahead. Maybe when we are done with this park, we will take you to the best place that me and your Auntie Maggie used to find our peace. Kaya listened intently, her eyes wide with wonder, as she imagined the best place that her mother and aunt used to like. Mommy, I can't wait to see that place. Is it a park? Orga chuckled softly at Kaya's enthusiasm, shaking her head. No, sweetheart, it's not a park. It's something even better. She glanced over at Maggie, sharing a knowing smile, before turning her attention back to Kaya. It's a secret garden. Kaya's eyes lit up with excitement, her imagination running wild. A secret garden? Wow! What's it like, Mommy? Orga smiled at Kaya's curiosity, her heart swelling with love for her daughter. It's the most magical place you'll ever see, Kaya. It's filled with flowers of every color, tall trees that whisper secrets in the wind, and a little pond with sparkling water. She paused, her eyes distant, as she recalled the beauty of the secret garden. It's a place where you can forget all your worries and just be yourself. Kaya's face beamed with anticipation, and her eagerness was palpable. Really, Mommy? I can't wait to be there. What do you mean by you be yourself? Do you mean you're not you? Orga chuckled at Kaya's innocent interpretation of her words. No, sweetheart. What I meant is that in the secret garden, you can just relax and enjoy being who you are without any worries or fears. It's a place where you can feel completely free and at peace. Kaya nodded, her eyes wide. But free from what, Mommy? Free from anything that might be troubling you, Kaya. Orga replied gently, her heart swelling with love for her daughter. In the secret garden, you can leave all your worries behind and just focus on enjoying the beauty of nature. You'll understand when you get older, baby. Okay, Mommy. Can we go now? Orga felt a sense of longing for the simplicity of their childhood, for the carefree days spent exploring the village with Grandma and Maggie by her side. Let's go, baby.